So very delighted to see all of you here. Do me this kind favor, go ahead and stand up, greet someone close by you, wish them happy holidays. And if they're wearing something completely obnoxious or ugly, do make mention of it or at least look at them awkwardly. Go ahead, greet someone close by you, happy holidays at YG. Huh? All right. So, it comes to that time of year where we are taking a look at our holidays. And just so that you know, for me personally, of the holidays, I was never a big fan of Halloween, okay? I don't know whether I was just a coward and a scaredy cat or whatever, but I was not a big fan of costumes. There is a photo of me as a child, and my parents made me wear a clown mask and one of those, kind of almost like one of those table liner outfits, the plastic outfits as a costume. First off, on those plastic masks, there's never enough space so you can breathe, right? And you can barely see out of those holes. But I was not a big fan of costumes, okay? However, especially during Halloween, if there was a good costume party, I would be up for that. Okay, so do me a kind favor right now, left or on your right, tell someone close by you, what is your favorite holiday? Go ahead and do that right now. Tell them, what was your favorite holiday? Halloween? Exactly, see? Me, not so much. Christmas? You like Christmas? All right, so here's the thing. Here's what I would share with you in regards to Halloween. Not a big fan of Halloween, but I could get into a good costume party. Now, here's the thing in regards to costume party. There are certain categories that you had to meet in order to win a prize. I'm not sure if you've gone to these costume parties where there was little side prizes for those people that had a great outfit or a great costume for that party. There was typically the good, the bad, and the ugly in regards to costumes. And somehow, along the way here, as we've gotten older, this costume thing has moved into other holidays, right? And this morning, I want to just say to all of you out there in online world, I'm hoping that you're wearing some type of ugly Christmas pajama or sweatshirt or something, but there are some ugly, hideous looks here in church right now. And if, they weren't expecting this, but if you would do me the kind favor up in the light booth, would you bring the house lights up for just a moment? Just bring the house lights up for just a moment here, Kelvin. Let's go ahead and just point out some prime individuals here. If you're wearing some type of ugly fashion, go ahead and stand up. Would you do that for me? Go ahead. Now, here is the thing that you have to understand in regards to ugly sweater Sabbath, is that some of these outfits are so hideous, they're actually look good. Have you noticed that? Okay, so here's what I want us to do. Go ahead, you guys can have a seat. Let's have a round of applause for them. Thank you very much. You can bring the house lights back down, hide those outfits, although Chris is continuing to blink at me. That's going to continue to be a serious distraction during service. Oh, you have control. Here's what I'd like to do, okay? For just a moment here, share with me, for those of you that are willing, I'd like for you to share with me one of your favorite holiday memories. It might have been a costume party. In my particular household, it's playing White Elephant. Have any of you played White Elephant? Tonight you're going to get an opportunity if you join us. But anyone here have a favorite holiday memory that they're willing to share? Anyone? Okay, this is where I'm going to ask for your help, okay? I've got this brand new toy, okay? And I would like for an opportunity not only for you to hear a sermon, but actually to participate in it. So if you would share with me a favorite holiday memory, I get a chance to throw this out to you in the audience and you can participate. Is there anyone willing to help me out? Favorite holiday memory? Oh, there we go. Okay, Lisa, this is the inaugural trip of the YG toss mic, okay? So it's going to come to you, all right? All right, you got backup over there? Dave, don't try and deflect it, okay? All right, here you go. Favorite holiday memory? Woo-hoo-hoo! Merry Christmas. Okay, yes, Lisa.
I'm very lucky because living in Texas, you know, we don't get much snow. And so when I was a kid, my grandparents lived in St. Joseph, Missouri. So we always went up there and went sledding and everything. And my brother and I were digging around in Grandpa's basement, and we found an old pair of ice skates that were my dad's, and they were huge. And I had little bitty feet, but we stuck socks in the end of them. Forget all of our new toys we'd gotten. We loved these ice skates. And so we would time each other, and we each had 15 minutes. Grandpa took us out to the city park, and when his 15 minutes was up, I let him know. And we kept trading these skates back and forth. And Grandma and Grandpa were very poor. They didn't have much money, but my grandpa came home that night, and he had been to Goodwill, and he had bought me a pair of ice skates for $3.
Oh, wow.
And I still have those skates, and a couple of years ago, I painted them and put glitter on them, and I made a wreath for my door. And so every time I walk in my back door and see that, I think of what a great time I had skating on the pond with my grandpa.
That is awesome. You can toss it back up to me. Oh, yes. One more, Mama, one more favorite holiday. Go ahead and bring the house lights up again. I'm just wanting to toss. Is there someone here that has a favorite holiday memory that they would dare share so I could share my favorite new toy by tossing it out to you? Anyone want to share a favorite holiday memory? Okay, Chris, here you go. You ready? Okay, here it comes. Take your hands out of your pockets. Okay, ready? There you go. All right. Share with us a favorite holiday memory.
Well, first time my family love Christmas, and first time drive see my grandma, grandpa come over, and at the dad passed away, and I love that toy I got not time ago.
Oh, very nice. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for Chris. Now, I am seeing a trend happening here, is that when you're thinking of a favorite holiday memory, somehow family members come into mind. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of a postscript here just to recognize that for many of us, we draw on these favorite and joyous and memorable moments as icons in our holidays. But I want to also recognize that for some individuals, holidays are difficult, okay? For a variety of reasons. It seems strange to me, but it's been several years since my dad passed, and I think during this holiday of my mother, who no matter what you try and do to be joyous and have a Merry Christmas or a Happy New Year, there is a portion of you that is missing. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that. But there is something to be said about family members gathering together that makes the holidays special and memorable. Now, here's the thing that I'm reflecting back because I'm a little bit traumatized by it. But here's the thing about costumes, okay, and the holidays, okay? I was never one to go to like those haunted houses and whatever, but some of the costumes now are so elaborate that it will scare you to the point of some type of heart condition, right? And I'll say this morning that some of your ugly sweaters have now been permanently burned onto my brain, that I will now need therapy in regards to having witnessed your ugly sweater or your ugly, what is that, a pullover? Ugly pullover, or your ugly pajamas. But thank you for participating in that this morning. Throughout the history of God's people, God has tried over and over and over to get close to us. If you remember the stories of the Old Testament, there were places where God would try and come close to provide help or support. He may come in the form of a cloud that guides by day and the form of a pillar of fire by night. And that was pretty terrifying to the people. God, especially at Mount Sinai, if you remember the story of Moses, and God wanted to come close to his people, the children of Israel said no. As the mountain literally shook with God's presence, as lightning and thunder would come down from that mountain, they said, no, we do not want to have anything to do with that mountain where God is. Moses, you go ahead and go up. We'll just stay down here. Throughout history, as God has tried to come close to his people have been terrified. And in the story of the Nativity, in the Christmas story of Jesus found in the Synoptic Gospels, it's no different. It's no different. Let me share with you that illustration of how this is the case. Found in the book of Luke, chapter 2, verses 8 through 12, we see a magnificent scene of glorious grandeur and a mesmerizing, overwhelming, over-the-top presentation of who Jesus is. Found in Luke chapter 2, verses 8 through 12, listen to the word of God, and I'm pulling from the KJV, just for those of you that like that sound. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find a babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. When I was a child, I lived in Florida. And in Florida, given where we were, there was always these enormous thunderstorms with lightning. You don't have that as much here. You just have the tornadoes that hit you instantaneously and other calamities that come. But in Florida, almost every summer afternoon, there would be this thunderous lightning thunderstorm. And I remember as a child, we were told that if you could count seconds between the lightning flash and the thunder, it would give you approximately how many miles away the actual lightning strikes that could fry you in an instant were from you, right? And so as we're in our house and we're trying to stay away from all the electrical outlets, hoping not to get fried by the lightning, we would listen, and the lightning would flash, and we would count, and the thunder would come. And as those got closer and closer and closer, we got more anxious and more fearful, because potentially we could get fried by the lightning. And the storms were tremendous, and it was so powerful. I remember that fear, and as I listened to the story, I imagined the shepherds by night minding their own business, counting their sheep, having their jokes that only shepherds know how to joke about. I don't know what those jokes are, but they were having a quiet evening, and all of a sudden, boom, the sky lights up. There is glory all around. In fact, if we turn to the scriptures again, we see these things happening here, okay? Angel of the Lord came upon them. So this extraterrestrial being shows up in front of you, above you, okay? Comes along, angel of the Lord came upon them, the glory of the Lord shone around them. It is night, people. They don't have flashlights. And all of a sudden, the glory of the Lord is shining around you. And they were sore afraid. No, duh. They were sore afraid. Angels who have been in the presence of the Lord, radiating his presence, the glory of the Lord shining all around them with no other source than God himself providing that glory, and this big booming voice. I would say that the formula for being fearful is angels plus glory, plus light, has the capability of making you very afraid, right? But throughout the history of the Old Testament, there continues to be the situation where any time God came especially close, his people became afraid. And even in this introduction, where the angel is trying to share good news, great tidings of wonderful joy, it was not being received as such, so that the angel had to say, "Fear not," right? So what does God do? What does God do? He decides that he's going to come as a baby, the most unintimidating costume ever, right? Now, I will say this, some of your babies when they're born are very ugly. I was guilty of thinking my baby girl was the most beautiful thing in the world and showed photographs of my daughter when she was first born, and it was a hideous little old man with a crinkled up face wearing a onesie. It was not pretty. But I am usually never intimidated by a baby, unless it's my own. My own baby intimidated me a bit, but God put on a costume to come close to us of a baby. In addition, as a sign to you, this baby is going to be in swaddling clothes. Let me make this really clear to you. This God, Jesus, was there at the very beginning, and when he spoke, things came into existence, okay? Animals, you want animals? He just spoke, and animals appeared. You want a division between light and day? You want to see intergalactic planets? He just spoke, and it came to be. The demons and Lucifer himself know the power of who God is. And so when Jesus was walking on this earth, the demons trembled because they know that Jesus could just speak, could just look, could just think, and things would happen. This is the freedom of being God. And the angels say in this moment, this is the sign for you to experience the God who has come to you, the Messiah that the shepherds and everyone was looking for. He's going to come as a baby, and he's going to come wearing swaddling clothes. In other words, for those of you that are aware of to help soothe the baby, there is blankets that you can wrap them up like they're in a cocoon, and it helps them from flailing around and so forth. So he's going to come as a baby, but he's not only going to come as a baby, the ruler of the universe is going to be wrapped in cloths that will bind him and keep him from flailing around. The God that created you and me, that breathed life into the first human being and continues to breathe life into us today, will be a baby, and he will be bound in swaddling clothes. And to make it even more distinct, this costume that God is wearing, he will be found in a manger. Have any of you worked at summer camp? Are there some of you that worked in the horse barn? Do any of you have livestock or worked at mom and dad's farm? The very last place you want to hang out at is the barn. The very last place in the entirety of the city to which Joseph and Mary has arrived is not the Hilton, it's not the Marriott. They end up in a barn. Now, if you think that the sight of these ugly sweaters is something to behold, imagine the smells. Imagine the noises that this manger has brought about. It's not pretty, it is ugly. When God arrives as a burning bush, people freaked out. When God was a pillar of smoke or a cloud by day and a fire by night, when he came to the top of Mount Sinai, it terrified people. And so God, trying to share who he is, says, "Fear not, look for a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in the lowest of the lowest of the lowest of places. Jesus put on the most humble costumes so that humankind, you and I, would dare to come close. The prophet Isaiah reflects on this, found in Isaiah chapter 53, verses 1 through the first portion of chapter verse 4. I love Eugene Peterson's paraphrase. Listen to the word of God. Who believes what we've heard and seen? Who would have thought God's saving power would look like this? The servant grew up before God, a scrawny seedling, a scrubby plant in a parched field. There was nothing attractive about him, nothing to cause us to take a second look. He was looked down on, passed over, a man who suffered, who knew pain firsthand. One look at him and people turned away. We looked down on him, thought he was scum, but the fact is, it was our pain he carried, our disfigurements, all the things wrong with us. The one who was without sin put on the costume of humankind so that he could bear your sin. The one, the only one who was good, who is good, and will forever be good, came to a world filled with ugliness so that he could take on your bad. This is the God that we serve. And for some of you this morning, I need to make this really, really clear to you. Some of you are hanging on to your ugliness and wearing it because you don't know anything different. Some of you are unwilling, at least at this juncture, to release your badness because it's the only thing that you know. There's others of you, and we hit the other side of the pendulum, that believe that you're good. And Jesus is quick to remind you there is only one that is good. You think that you've got it all figured out. You're very proud of who you've become and the designer clothes that you've created with your own hands and your own activity. But in the scheme of the universe, it is simply bloody, dirty rags. Whatever costume you came into YG with this morning, even those of you that dressed up and smell nice, and those of us that are wearing our ugliness on our sleeve, no matter how you've come, know this morning that the present is this: the only one who is good, in order to save us from all that is bad, took our ugliness on so we could wear his glorious designs. If you could get that up on the board, I want this to just be something that you will pray about, something that you'll consider during this holiday season, because all of us have our own costumes that we've worn for too long. The present this morning that comes from Jesus is the only one who is good. In order to save us from all that is bad, took our ugliness on so we could wear his glorious designs. I love your ugly sweaters, your ugly overalls, your ugly pajamas. I love your daringness to wear it boldly and proudly in the midst of the public. But this morning, we have good news. The God of the universe put on a costume that none of us would ever wear or could wear. He came especially close to us to let us know that he loves us, and that the glory that shines all around, that at times can be intimidating, at times can be fear-creating, that glory is the glory of God's grace. There is an audaciousness to the miracle of Christmas that goes beyond any facade, beyond any exterior, beyond any costume that you may be playing through right now, because God knows what's in your heart, and he came to save it with his heart. That's the audaciousness of the God that we serve. No matter how ugly or not ugly what you're wearing is.